Okay guys, I think we got another bit of a fun one coming up. As I've said previously, the cardinal rule of mowing season is we do not take the tractor down mowing season. We wait for the tractor to take itself down, and I think it just kind of did. I think the inside wheel bearing on this side is blown up, and there are a couple reasons for that probably. One, this thing runs like really weird size bearings. I think those are like 1 in 13/16 OD by 3/4 ID by like 1/2 inch thick or something. And there isn't a good aftermarket solution for those. Those bearings up there are actually go-kart bearings. I think I have go-kart bearings in this side of it. I had to change the bearings on this side last year too, I think. Maybe it was the other side, I can't remember. But anyway, when I did that, I popped the seals out of these guys. I just took a pick and plucked the seal out, and these have basically no grease in them from the factory. So these last year when I had to replace them, I think actually it was on the left side, these I already popped them out and repacked them and everything and put them back in their little bag so I'd have my spares ready to go. So I've got to get the jack out, jack this side up, take that bolt out, and I'll show you guys the carnage. Something else that's, I guess kind of cool, kind of not, is this tire, particularly on this side, is like flat every single week when I go to mow. So I have to air it up every time. And the front tire on the other side has got a bulge in it. And once I get it jacked up, I'll try and show you that, because that's actually, in my opinion, kind of cool. These are bias ply tires, and not many people probably have a lot of experience with those anymore. So it's pretty rare that you get a bulge like in the tread of a modern radial tire, but with bias plies, it's, you know, especially back in the day, I guess it was pretty common. So I'll show that to you too. And here's what we've got to replace them. Got 2 of these dudes that were just dirt cheap. They are, what are these things, D-Stone? Just Chinese tires. I think they were 28 bucks a piece on Amazon, something like that. And they are crunchy. What I think is the date code on them, they're about a year old already before I got them, and I'll try and find the stamp to show you. It's kind of hard to find. That is actually the date code stamp for these things. And I don't know how well you'll be able to see some of the other stampings and marks in them, the mold marks. But they just took to the mold that made this tire with like a dull file to cut that out. So quality on these remains to be seen. There are other guys that on the tractor forums and stuff that have bought them said they're fine. And you know, really this is a lawnmower. So, you know, it's not like a blowout. It's going to hurt me or anything. Yeah, I'll be annoyed, but it's not going to kill me. So cheap tire, that's fine. Obeying the cardinal rule of mowing season, unless these tires actually do dismount themselves, we're not going to mess with this. I bought the tires just so I'd have them if something bad happened, because I doubt, you know, any place in town would carry stuff like that. And I am not anywhere near fool enough to mess with these myself. I've seen plenty of videos of like the Harbor Freight tire changer and all that stuff, and it's just not worth it to me. I'd rather go pay 10 bucks a piece and have somebody responsibly throw away the old tires and all that crap for me and just not worry about it. So anyway, I'll get this thing up on a jack and we'll take a look. I don't know, what do you guys think? Yeah, that inner's done. And since the inner's done, I'm sure the outer is too. So we'll slap some new bearings in. Also, don't be alarmed by this. Tractors have a pivot axle in the front. They don't have suspension, but this axle is intended to do that. Oh, the other thing I was going to say too that might be affecting these wheel bearings is last year I replaced all those little steering linkage guys, all those guys. And when you replace them, you know, you're affecting the alignment of the tractor just like, you know, on a car. And I just sort of eyeballed it. So I don't really know the way to align these the right way and the process and all that stuff. I do have a service manual for it that I should probably get out and check that, but for right now we're just going to slap like $4 of go-kart bearings in and be happy. What's in there? Let's see if pieces fall out. Yeah, there's the inner race is still left on the hub. So I bet a bunch of BBs just fell out on the ground. Yep. And it looks like the outer bearing fell out of it too. That's one thing about this design. This is really one of the worst things about these tractors is if you do wear out a wheel bearing, just like what happened here, and they fall apart, is the part that's left over starts grinding into the inside of the wheel. And it looks like the inner race is still there on the other side. Yeah, you can just see it down in there. The inner race is still on the other side, so I don't think that has happened. But when that happens, it destroys the rim. So if you don't notice these bearings are bad and keep mowing or whatever, which I did notice it was bad when I pulled out of the garage and mowed anyway. I figured it had one left in it, and I think it did. It'll destroy those wheels. And you can still buy these wheels, but they're like 140 bucks a piece, and you don't want to do that. And it'll also chew up these spindles. And with as much grease, oh, that's right, I had the wheels off it last year regardless and greased them up. But anyway, so to install new ones is really easy. All I'm going to do is take a hammer and punch and just punch that inner race out, or the outer race out of the inside of the wheel. This guy over here, sometimes you get on with like channel locks and kind of jimmy it off. I've had to take like the Dremel tool and cut them in half before too. Sometimes they get kind of cocked on there. But anyway, I'll get that done, let you know how it went. Yeah, really no big deal. I was able to just grab that and just slip it right off. You can see there's some wear on that spindle. You can see the lines where the bearings have been riding on it. And the last time I had these wheels off last summer, I greased up that spindle really well. So I think that's why that bearing collar just slipped right off. So I'm going to grease that up again. The outer bearing actually still felt fine. And I think when this happened a few years ago on this side, I just replaced the outer because that's all I had and I didn't have any money. So, that kind of makes sense. So I think the inner has now given up. So that's a new go-kart inner, and I'll put some grease on the spindle and put the wheel back on. I don't think I mentioned it before, but the reason I'm running go-kart bearings is because Cub Cadet branded bearings are like 20 bucks a piece. They're really expensive. I've had guys tell me they're a lot better, and you know, maybe they are. Anyway, today what I've got is go-kart bearings. That's what I'm gonna run. And I really don't know how well they hold up once you add additional grease, so that'll be kind of interesting to find out as well. New bearing goodness. Since it's up on the jack, I already checked the other side. It's good. That is the side, I'm pretty confident now, that fell apart on me last summer. And that's when I figured out, hey, I should repack these bearings. So the one on the outside of this thing is from, I don't know, probably a couple years ago, and is, however, it got shipped from China. The one on the inside of it is one I've repacked. So we'll see how it goes, and at some point I should probably look into how to align this thing. Oops, I forgot I told you I'd show you guys my bulge. It's a little hard to see on camera, but you see where those lines are all wiggly? They're not supposed to be that way. It's actually a bulge in the tire. And I have every reason in the world to believe that these are the OEM tires, and if they're not, they're 30 years old. I mean, I know that my grandpa, my dad, and I have never put new tires on it, and that's from like 1990. So, you know, 30 years, 29 years now. Those tires for sure are at least that old. And speaking of alignment, you can see it's kind of like chewing up that inside edge of the tire. So yeah, kind of the outside too. So I'm hoping to get it through the season just the way it is on these tires and just be annoyed that I have to put air in the right front literally every time I mow. It's like on the rim flat. And then hopefully this winter have some time to get those other ones mounted up and see about how to properly align this thing and all that stuff so I don't destroy them immediately. But anyway, these guys are whipped. Okay, now for real. See you later. Have a good one.